Touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my very good friend, Ren the Man Dax. Ren.
Yes.
We are here tonight doing something that you and I have never, ever in the history of this show done. Even outside of the history of this show, have we ever done what we're about to do tonight?
Start a show at 20 minutes late? Yes.
No, we have done that plenty of times over there.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
No, I am talking about we are doing a Buck in the News show for a playoff game.
Yeah.
Week 18, if people want to put it that way. I'm going to call it playoff week 1. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs this weekend facing the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
The what the fucks, I believe is what we've been calling them all week long.
Sure.
WTFs. And yeah, how you feeling about it coming up this weekend, Ren?
Good. I mean, this should be a game. It's since we're Buck fans and even the media's got into this, like they're trying to find ways to be like, hey, now, like, watch out, And of course, everyone talks about the defensive line. Okay, Chase Young. What's he got, like 4 sacks? The guy that leads the team on the defensive line's got like 7 or 8. I mean, right. This isn't, this isn't the 85 Bears, man. But you can't talk about their offensive line. You can't talk about their running backs. You can't talk about their quarterbacks. You can't talk about their wide receivers or their secondary. So all they got is their defense and really their defensive line. So apparently, since it's going to be below 50 and they have 5 first rounders on the defensive line, didn't help them in 9 of their 16 games this year. But apparently, that's gonna the slick field, the cold weather, and a defensive line is gonna stop the Bucs.
Yeah, not likely, especially considering our offensive line. For as much crap as we've given them over the years, they've really had a good run of games here over the last bunch of weeks. And I mean, even Donovan Smith, like that's a guy whose name has not been said a whole lot. Not on this show and not even on a lot of other shows. And for a left tackle, for an offensive lineman, not getting your name said is actually a good thing.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I will say this. I did check out Buccaneers.com. They put out their weekly list of like what the experts are picking for the game. And it's unanimous down the line. The Buccaneers are the favorite to win. And I think I saw the Vegas odd was like -400. In favor.
I don't know what that means.
Apparently good. Like to win 40 cents. I think it's like you win 40 cents. You got to bet $1.
I don't know. I just look at the point spread.
So anyway, but the Buccaneers are there. Well, real quick, Ren, before we get into everything else going on with the show, I would like to take a moment and say hello to everyone out there who is joining us live at Twitter, Periscope, which by the way is going to be going away here, sadly, I hear. Facebook, YouTube.
Did Periscope get banned from Twitter?
I think Periscope got absorbed into Twitter.
Well, yeah, it has been.
It got eaten by Twitter, I think is what happened.
So they ate it and now they're going to take it away?
Yeah, I think they're going to poop it out now is what's happening.
Who did that? Somebody did it with Vine, didn't they? Like they bought Vine and then just like can't. Then they just
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, somebody bought it and like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. They bought it and then killed it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what happened to the AAF. Remember that? Dude bought it, he killed it.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Yep.
And bought the app technology.
Yeah, and what's he done with it?
Who knows? Maybe he's doing something with Twitter.
I don't know.
But you gotta get rid of that pesky Periscope.
Right. So anyway, but all that to say, or if you guys are watching us at thepewtercast.live, hello and welcome to you. And if you're one of the many thousands who will download us later on the podcast feed, hello to you guys as well too. This is our Buc'In the News show. If maybe you're a new listener, maybe you're somebody who doesn't typically follow the Bucs, but you're like, hey, it's playoff weekend. Let's check out some Bucs podcast. You're checking this one out. This is our Buc'In the News show. This is the show where basically we get a chance to take a look at all the news that has come out of One Buccaneer Place over the course of this week. And we're going to wrap that all up in this show as we take a look at the game this weekend. We'll do that by kind of walking through the list. We'll talk about roster moves and those transactions that have happened to see if anything is going to affect the team this week. We'll take a look at the headlines that have come out. We'll take a look at the injury report for both the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington football team. And then we'll talk about what we're looking forward to in this game. And we'll close it all out just because this is the fun segment with our predictive MVPs. With that, Ren, why don't we go ahead and start right up at the top of the screen? Buccaneers, first thing out the gate after the game, they reverted to their practice squad, their week 17 elevation players, which was Herb Miller, who wasn't he the guy that caught that interception 2 weeks ago?
He was.
Yeah, him. And then defensive lineman Benning, I'm not going to say this name right, Potatoe, which I learned this week. That is Vita Vea's cousin.
Is it really?
It's Vita Vea's cousin. Not that anybody out there, not that that means much, but it's Vita Vea's cousin. So, but he's out there. I don't know if those guys did anything really of note in this past game, the game against who was it?
Atlanta.
Oh yeah, those guys that don't matter because they're not in the playoffs anymore, at least this year. But anyway, those guys are back down. I don't know if those guys did anything or not, but we'll talk about them again here in just a few minutes. But, well, I'll go and say it now. They have also been elevated to this week's practice squad, or active roster. Like they went back down, same two, came right back up for this weekend's game. On Monday, the Buccaneers signed running back CJ Prozis and released Mazzy Wilkins from the practice squad. That's only notable to me just because we're releasing Mazzy Wilkins, and that's a name that I recognize.
Yeah, he was a cornerback out of USF that's been hanging around. He'll be back in 2021 in training camp and see if he can stick around for, 10 or 11 or 12 more practice squad games.
I mean, the Buccaneers certainly seem to like Mazzy. Like, every time he goes away, he turns on and comes back eventually anyway. So, but we'll see. And I mean, this is the time of year where they really do, like, they're signing a lot of these potential futures guys. And like, I think a lot of these practice squad guys that we see, a lot of them will be, as you say, they'll be here through camp and stuff next year. Shaquille Barrett gets activated off the COVID-19. Now, we missed our Buc'In the News show last week, so we didn't get to talk about Shaq going on the COVID-19 list and missing last week's game, but joining him there was Devon White. Now, Devon White, the report is, actually had a positive test, whereas Shaquille Barrett just had a close contact. No word that I could tell if Shaq's close contact was Devon White or if it was something else altogether. I don't think they clarified that. I found that interesting, though, last week, because the rule is they're not supposed to tell you, or they're not supposed to say, like, whether it was a close contact or whether it was an actual, like, positive test. They're just supposed to say they're on the reserve list. They're on the COVID-19 list. So
that kind of went out of the window when people figured out that because if you came back next week, then you were close contact. If it took you 2 weeks, then you're so I think they sort of like just pushed that rule to the side and because people are going to figure it out anyway. And Vegas has got to know, like, he can be back next week or like or 2 weeks. Like, we gotta know. We have to set the lines.
I think it was Tom Pelissaro, which I never say his name right either. He was the guy who initially tweeted that out. So breaking HIPAA laws and whatnot, but whatever. Anyway, but what that does mean is Devon White will be out this game as well. So he will have missed these 2 weeks in a row. He'll miss his first opportunity to playoff game due to being out on the COVID list. Reports are he feels fine and isn't showing symptoms. And I think they're just waiting on that next negative test to come back. But regardless, the time isn't going to clear for him to be able to come back for this game.
Yeah, once you have a positive test, you can't come back for 10 days.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you test positive every single day after that.
You mean test negative after that?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. Test negative after that. Yeah, you got to wait for 10 days. And that was kind of the big thing when the schedule came out, a couple days after the Falcons game or the end of the season, that the Bucs, because if they would have played Sunday, Devon White, if he tested negative, and looks like he has, he'd be able to play, but he wouldn't Saturday, because Saturday would have been the 9th day or 10th day, however they do it. And then the Saints were also in the same boat, but they get Kamara back because they play Sunday, and Buck fans were very upset.
I didn't see that one, but yeah. Okay. I
that
remember
was kind of
it was COVID though.
Who, Kamara? Yeah. He tested positive the same day Devon White did. And people are like, okay, like who gets screwed here? Or does the NFL put them both on Sunday and try to do the right thing? But no, they went, no, we want Breeze and Brady in prime time. And so we got to screw one of them, and we're not going to screw the division champs because the Saints have been screwed like 3 years in the playoffs. So
they got screwed 1 year in the playoffs. The year before that, they did it to themselves. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and last year they really didn't get screwed. It was just like, it's just Saints fans were just crying about how it was an offensive pass interference.
Right.
Where I think it was a tight end. He pushed off and caught the touchdown pass for the win.
Yeah. So
coming off the year where their guy got blasted and no flag was thrown.
Right.
Coming off the year where all they do is had to tackle Stephon Diggs and they win. And they decided not to do that and let him run 65 yards for a touchdown.
I'm not here to talk about the Saints.
I'm just saying that's why the NFL screwed us, not them.
Well, there you go. But all of that to say, Shaquille Barrett will be back for this game. He was activated off the COVID-19 reserve list on Wednesday. So yay to have him back. Did you feel like you missed Shaq Barrett in this last game?
No.
Against the Falcons? I didn't either. Like I was like, I don't feel like I missed a presence there. Like
I didn't miss Carlton Davis either. I didn't miss Devon White either.
Right.
It's all about the offense now, baby.
There you go. Now with that, because Devon White will be out for this weekend's game, the Buccaneers last week brought back inside linebacker Jack Sitchie. Brought him back off the practice squad. He was our draft pick a couple of years ago. But they also this week signed inside linebacker Deon Buchanan. If you remember him, he was one of our free agent pickups last year. He made it to like October, like second week of October, I think. And
he was going to play the Joker position in the Todd Bowles defense.
What did they the money back or something like that? I think they called that.
I thought it was Joker.
The Joker, the money. I don't remember Joker. I remember it was like money baller or money back or money backer. Or it was something money. Whatever.
You might be getting confused with the daytime game show.
Say what now?
I think you might be getting that confused with the daytime game show. Like there's a game show you watch around 2 p.m. called Money Backer.
Yeah, I don't.
No? Okay. No. So you're not.
No. James Money, look at him coming in on a super chat saying, "My bro, let's go Bucks." I love it, James. I love it. Thank you for that. Thank you for sure. But anyway,
Money backer, Joker backer,
Joker ball. Buchanan. But this Joker position, explain that one to me one more time because I'm trying to remember what that was.
It's they call it Joker, and what it is it's basically a strong safety. The safety that walks down in the box. But then if he's versatile enough, he can also play nickel in some situations. So he's not necessarily there just to stop the run and sort of pick up tight ends on curls and out routes. If you have a guy that's athletic enough, it's kind of like what Tyrann Mathieu did. Like he would play slot corner, and then sometimes he plays, strong safety, and then sometimes he'd be dropped back in 2 deep safety. And they called that the Joker position in Todd Bowles' defense. So,
gotcha. So
they brought Deon in, and he didn't win the job. They cut him.
And we let him go. But last week, one of the things that we had sort of looked at without having Devon White because he was going to be on the COVID list was, hey, we still have Kevin Minter Kevin
Right.
Minter, who's a team captain this year. He's the special teams captain, but also he filled in really nicely for Devon White at the beginning of last season, when Devon was out and filled in super nice. Didn't really. I also, not noticing Devon White, I didn't notice Kevin Minter in the game at all last week either.
Didn't he have like 9 tackles, lead the team in tackles?
Did he? But doesn't that the person in that position always lead the team in tackles?
No.
Like, because that's like their spot, is because it's that guy or whatever.
Like Levante David or Devon White should lead the team in tackles every week. Yes.
Right.
But I mean, still, it wasn't much of a drop off. He's not much better than Devon White in pass coverage, but what he is he's not a liability. He's not going to get caught out of position.
Talking about
and he's not going to miss tackles. So for, I really don't remember or really know how he is on the blitz. Can't be as good as Devon White, obviously.
Right.
Everyone, when I think somebody heard, or I guess we all did, like, I don't know, the announcer called it a green dog, and now everyone's saying, Devon White green dog blitzes, green dog this, green dog that, green dog this, over route this, over route that. But so sending Kevin Minter on blitzes, Scott Smith says he's a pretty good blitzer, so I'm gonna have to go with that. But I think, not really sure you're going with this, but I'm fine with Minter. Are you kind of asking why Buchanan's here?
No, I'm pointing out the fact that he is here, but because Minter is still that first backup spot, and they also have Jack Sitchie, who again didn't really do a ton last week. Dayon's in. He didn't do a ton when he was here last week. We're not going to see Dayon a whole lot in this game, or at least we hope we're not. But this is just those, those kind of depth pieces. For the record, he was signed to the practice squad, but he was elevated. He was one of those guys that was elevated for the game this week. So he'll be out there. At least
they just want some more flexibility there, and who knows if he's even going to be active. But so it's probably going to come down between him and Sitchie, see who's active for the game. But it doesn't really bode well for Sitchie that they signed him.
Do you like, if Minter is focusing on taking Devon White's spot, are these guys more focused on taking that special teams role that Minter would normally have, you think?
Yeah. I think that's why I think the nod goes to Sitchie, because he's played a lot of special teams for the Buccaneers. Not that Buchanan can't do it, because he's been around a long time and has very, I don't know how much familiarity he has with Keith Armstrong, but special teams really isn't that complicated.
Sure.
But he's been around with Bulls, and he's been around with BA, of course, and maybe a little bit of left, which I really don't know. But I think they're just looking for flexibility, because he's like a smaller, faster, better coverage version of kind of Kevin Minter. They're kind of I think what they're doing is they're taking Minter and Buchanan, and possibly if Buchanan's active, then they're going to, when it's like obvious passing situations, Buchanan might be in there for Minter when the Bucs go to nickel, but really what they're doing is they're going to a 2-4,
right?
And because they leave David and White both on the field. So if it's like 3rd and 17, you might see Buchanan in there in Minter's spot, because he has better coverage skills and he can drop back faster, get the passing lanes a little better than Minter can. Minter's kind of like the classic linebacker, like it was during, the early 2000s, where you were like, you're 250, 260, and your job was to stop the run. Where now it's like you're like 240, and your job is to blitz and to tackle the running back out in the flats and in space, and chase down screen passes and get in passing lanes and be able to cover tight ends man to man. And that's what linebackers do nowadays.
So the corresponding move that goes with this is they released guard Nick Leverett from the practice squad. I honestly don't even remember the team signing this guy, Nick Leverett.
They released him from the practice squad?
Do what now?
They released him, you said?
They released him from the practice. That was the move they made to make room for Dayon Buchanan.
It's not my best side, I'll just say.
Yeah, what's up, Brent?
Right?
The
Rent Dext or Dext? Rent Dext?
Rent Dext.
Rent
Rent Dex. That's what it
I'm a PI.
is. So the team has elevated Dan Buchanan. We talked about Herb Miller and Benning Pateoe. And Ted
Potato-y.
Larson. We talked about Ted Larson a couple weeks
Sure.
ago. He was the guard they brought over after AQ Shipley got hurt.
Mhm.
Old veteran kind of grizzled guy. They've elevated him for this week as well. One other move, though, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just made tonight is they have waived inside linebacker. He was one of our draft picks this year, I believe.
Chappie.
He got waived.
Yeah, they
There
waived
is
Chappie.
no corresponding move. So this leaves the Buccaneers with only a 52-man roster right now heading into the game. There is yet to be a corresponding move to that, as far as I can tell. If somebody else out there knows what they did to fill in that spot, please let me know.
So you're saying Buchanan filled in for the guy we don't know who we're talking about, but then didn't Stitchy fill the other one?
No, because Buchanan and Larson both got raised. They both got elevated on the COVID contagion contingency list.
Right.
And then Herb Miller and Pateo Benning got elevated like on the regular way that they can elevate people for a game.
Right.
And so that those four don't require corresponding moves on the active roster to make room for them. The Buccaneers have waived Chapel Russell, which gives them an open spot on their active roster right now. There is no corresponding move for that.
Chappie was active? I thought they waived him off practice squad. Or am I wrong? I could be wrong. I didn't really look at it that closely.
From what? No, he was.
I didn't think Chappie.
Active roster. He was on the active
roster. Really? I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah,
he's currently on the active roster.
You see Gill get a sack or something in the Atlanta game? I think he got a pressure or something or made a tackle.
It's yeah. I remember Gill's name popping up there for something. I don't exactly remember what it was.
Playing. Kendall Gill, is it?
Something like that. Anyway, so that's really all the transactions. The one to watch, not the one to watch, the curious one to me really is the waiving of Chapel Russell off the active roster.
Chappie.
Chappie. What do they call it? Deuce? They call him Deuce out there.
Well, yeah, but
is that
it's wrong.
Chappie, right? Yeah. Right. It's just like anybody who calls Scooty Scooter.
Yeah.
Like you call him Scooter Millet. No. That's not it.
It's not it. Sorry.
Exactly. So those are the transactions. We'll keep an eye on those next week, I guess, and see what happens. But Dan Buchanan, that'll be an interesting one to watch as they come back. All right, let's get over to some headlines that we had come out this week, Ren. There are several in there. Let's go to the snub first. The AP released its all-pro team list this week, and everybody lost their ever-loving mind earlier today when not one Buccaneer was on the list, despite several Buccaneers having statistically much better seasons than the people who were chosen.
Yep.
Even the players, like I saw Jordan Whitehead was like, bro, I don't know what they're voting these people on. And Devon White like quoted that and was like, I wanted to believe it wasn't about politics, but it's got to be because there's no other reason to explain why they picked these guys over, different people.
Yeah.
So,
which, selfishly I'm okay with, because now with the way we've talked, we had a whole episode on it, I think right before the season started, about the new CBA, and like you get significant bumps in your salary automatically for making Pro Bowls and making all pros on your rookie contract. And with the, salary cap, I guess the cap itself, the top number, the cap number is very much in question. Some people think it's going to go down. Some people think it's going to stay. No one thinks it's going to go up. And so when Devon White misses out on a Pro Bowl and All Pro, I'm like, oh darn. And Vita Vea doesn't make it. I'm like, well, that's really unfair. So but they did both, or I shouldn't say both, but Levante David and Devon White both did make second team All Pro. Who do you think, who were you kind of, I'm not saying you went as far as being upset and had to tweet about it, but
sure.
Like, who do you think should have been an All Pro, first or second team? Well, we'll start with first. Who do you think on the Bucs should have made first team
I think Levante David is a given in this situation and has been for years. And I mean, just statistically speaking, Devon White is one of, if not the best linebackers out there. They did put him on the second team, which I guess technically makes him like the third best inside linebacker in football. But I just like that was one of them. You compare Levante's stats to everybody else, and honestly, even the impact that they make on the team, like there's no reason these other people get picked over Levante other than I think this might be where we go to talking about how these people are voted in.
Right.
The idea you're voted in by the press people. Well, press people know the people that they cover.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem.
Like I know who Bobby Wagner is, but I
Right.
have no idea how his season's going. Actually, I do. It's not going. Like he's having a down year for Bobby Wagner, but he still made first team All Pro.
Right.
Like, you know, like he's I know that he's struggling in coverage. But he used to like hang his hat on that. So Bobby Wagner struggling in coverage is better than most linebackers.
Sure.
And Seattle's defense was so bad at the beginning of the year. And now they turned it around in the second half, but like it's not a second half award.
Right. And I think that's where I have a problem with the CBA or anybody tying stats to Pro Bowl nods, Hall of Fame nods, and All Pro stuff, because this is voted by people who, I mean, I guess less Pro Bowl, because Pro Bowl is still voted on by the teams and the coaches and stuff. There is that element of it. But I mean, with these two, especially, like it's voted on by media people, and there's not many media people out there that are keeping that close of an eye on all.
There's nobody out there.
1,753 players to actually know who's who.
Yeah.
And be able to say that. And if it's subjective voting and not objective stat rearing or stat comparing, then stuff like this is going to happen. So I think Levante David's in there. I do tend to think about people like Tristan Wirfs. Is Tristan Wirfs a top 2 right tackle in the league or a top 1 right tackle in the league? I doubt it. I doubt I'd say he's the best right tackle in the entire league. Ali Marpet, is he the best left guard in the whole league? No. Quentin Nelson plays right guard, right? So maybe I can't say.
But you don't know what kind of season Quentin Nelson had.
It's true.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's where like the name thing comes in. It's like,
exactly.
It's like, is Ali Marpet getting Quentin Nelson? Did Quentin Nelson been out for the past 6 games? If I told you that, you'd go, oh, really? And it's not true. Like you,
I wouldn't. Right? I wouldn't. Well, I can't vote him then. Huh? But I mean, you got to look at, is Mike Evans having the best wide receiver season? Probably not.
No. Godwin missed too many games. Antonio Brown hasn't been here.
Okay.
Gronk would have been an interesting conversation with Kittle going down. You have Kelsey,
but and because they got 2 tight ends on the list, right?
Yeah, you got Kelsey and then Waller. From the Raiders, who's had up and down games, but when it's up, but he has like crazy up games.
Yeah, but as a knock against Gronk, I mean, let's face it, it took Gronk half the season to get going.
But he was still like, he's more effective now, but he was still, I felt like he was still making catches, getting yards, and scoring the occasional touchdown. Now it seems like he gets one every week, and he's kind of right now he feels like he's a catalyst of the offense. As far as the jump start, he's the ignition, the battery cable, wherever you want to put it, the alternator.
I mean, frankly, I think Tom Brady definitely deserves it. I think that has to be a conversation.
Yeah.
We're really going to quibble between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady this year.
But then he didn't make it second team. But then he didn't make it second team.
Right, but I'm just saying I think that's part of the conversation. I'm not saying that he should have made it over those guys, but I definitely think that has to be at least a part of the conversation.
Right. Well, he didn't even make it for what?
He didn't make the Pro Bowl either.
I know.
Yeah, he didn't make the Pro Bowl either.
He didn't make the Pro Bowl over Kyler Murray.
Right, exactly. And there's a piece of me that, like, so you look at this selfishly because it affects the salary cap, which I get that.
No, I want my guys to get it. But when they miss it, I don't get all fired up because I have that to fall back on. But that's only for the rookies. And
but now I want it, but I like I sort of selfishly want them to miss it because I want them to like get fired up to like go prove everybody wrong.
that's what I said about Devon White.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to make the Pro Bowl. I don't want to make him all pro. I want him to like, just be super pissed, which would be great. But we won't see him, till week 19,
right,
or the second round of the playoffs. So. Right. Yeah, again, I think we laid out a plan during that pod. Is they just need to, make a committee. Like I know of course you gotta love to watch film, and I'm sure there's a bunch of youngry guys out there that'll do it, but then they don't have the cred. So you kind of like gotta go to, which I think what I suggested was go to these people, these Hall of Famers or ex greats, or even guys that played in the league for a long time, but didn't make the money that they're making today, and they're having a hard time getting by. And if it wasn't for the NFL's medical insurance, like they'd be, homeless or destitute, like they, they're just like regular people that's retired, like income would be nice. So to make a committee of those people where, like PFF, like make kind of some kind of scoring system and have one guy just follow one division. So you only need 10 dudes? No, 8 guys. Yeah, there's 4 teams and 4 divisions. Yeah, 32, right?
It is.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. So you get 32 guys, and then they come together and, have the NFL pay for them to fly to Arizona or Nevada or Florida, and they hole up in a hotel boardroom for the week while they go to Disney, and ESPN could come down and make a big thing of it, and they can make a whole announcement thing, with the turn into more money. That's what I would do, because like there's normally, we'll just say there's 16 games a week. Okay. Now, of course, their bye week goes into it and all that stuff. But if you're a Pro Bowl All-Pro voter, like you'd have to watch 16 games every week. You have to watch all the games,
right?
To really understand what you're looking at. Yeah. And then once you watch a game, you're only gonna vote for the people that make the splash plays, because you don't have time to go back and watch it over and over again. Plus, you got your beat writing duties, and you got to go with all the Zoom calls, and you have all your columns, and you got your podcast. Like, it's an impossible situation they're putting him in.
Frankly, we know from listening to Ira that the political conversations have had, hey, you vote for my guy this year, and I'll help you get your guy in next year.
Right. Like that's for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. For the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they got their little coalitions in there. Yeah. Like the New England area, upper, northeastern area writers, like the NFC East, and then I'm sure Buffalo's in there. Right. They all stick together, and it's like Congress, man.
Right. So all of that to say that the biggest problem I think that I have with this is not just the idea that not one Buccaneer was there, but it's the process through which these things are picked.
Yeah.
And how much weight is given to them. It honestly is I think the other side. If they're going to be something that with this much weight, no offense to all the media people out there, but those aren't the guys that need to be voting on it, frankly.
Yeah. And it's not that they don't know what they're talking about, about their team. But
exactly,
like Ira said, he voted for Tristan Wirfs for All-Pro. Now Tristan Wirfs is a rookie. He's only given up like 5 pressures or something, and wow, sorry, I came out of nowhere. 5 pressures and 1 sack all year. But I think that's great. Is that All-Pro? Sure, it is. But is it? Like, is there 2 tackles out there that haven't given up less pressures and given up less sacks, or have the same and been screwed over like Levante David in years past?
Right.
I have no idea, and neither does Ira.
I was gonna say, and Ira, I think this is actually part of your point here, Ren. Ira voting for Tristan Wirfs reeks of him picking his own guy.
Right. Because that's all he knows.
Because that's what he knows. Exactly. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean Tristan Wirfs. Please don't get me wrong out there, folks. That does not mean Tristan Wirfs does not deserve to be in the conversation and have those questions. But I don't again, I don't know that I could say Tristan Wirfs is the best rated right tackle in the entire league.
Right.
I feel like that sort of stuff needs to be much more subjective and not left up to a subjective voting situation. So anyway,
The only thing as observers can make a semi-educated opinion on is like quarterback, running back, and wide receiver, because
Right.
they get the ball and they put up the points, and those are the things you see. Those are the people on the crawler when you're watching the game, like, and then you start to see the same people week after week, and then of course if you play fantasy football, that helps too. There might be guys that you don't know about that you're like that guy did that again. So yeah,
they do. All right, well, let's move on after this. Well, speaking of this, while we're in the middle of talking about this, the Hall of Fame.
yes,
Speaking of things that people vote for, Rondé Barber and John Lynch have been nominated and selected as finalists for this year's Hall of Fame. This would be Barber's first year finally making it to the last room, and this is Lynch's 82nd year making it to the last room. So maybe this will be the year.
82 is the charm.
There you go. I remember watching, I think it's 8th actually. I remember watching video of Ira's speech last year.
Yeah.
And basically it was something to the effect of he said to he's like, colleagues, we have never John Lynch has been in this room 7 times, and we have never made somebody wait more than 7 times, having been in here that many times. Obviously, he's going to go in, so this is the year to do it. Do you really want to make John Lynch the example and have him set this new record? And apparently they said yes, because
exactly. I don't think that's a good argument. It's like, well, you know why he's not in? Like, you know why he's been here so many times? You know why he hasn't gotten in so many times?
Why, Ren? Say it, Ren.
Maybe he doesn't deserve it.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, or maybe what's the theory? The Glazers, because they don't pump any money into helping.
Yeah, it's the Glazers' fault.
Glazers
when the fans start to jump on Ira for not doing his job, the Joe Buck fan fights back with the Glazers don't they don't spend any money or get John Lynch in front of the right people, which may be right, but I think it's more John Lynch's job, to be honest.
Yeah, and honestly, and I could be wrong, but I think John Lynch being an active GM in the league right now, I'm not saying it's the sole reason, but I do think it hurts him as far as getting selected right now.
I don't.
On some level, I do. I think it's just because he's still active in the league, and that there's a maybe even a little bit of waiting to see what he does as a GM, an active GM in the league. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong, but I've got to think that factors into some people's decision.
Okay.
Because these other guys aren't involved at all. Like, their football stuff done. He's John Lynch is still making stuff happen. He's still making his name known. Anyway, moving on from that, good news this week. Good news. Tom Brady wins the Fedex Air Player of the Week. I believe this was his 2nd time this year winning the award. So yay for him. And Ryan Suckup, here's a name we don't talk about too terribly often, but he won the Special Teams Player of the Week. So yay for them.
Yeah, nice bounce back week for Ryan.
Oh yeah, because he missed those the week before against the Lions.
Yeah,
where he said, I think it was, he didn't like the turf.
Yeah,
I just don't like the turf up there, so I'm not going to kick it well.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
It's like playing golf. This hole, like it doesn't look right in my eye. It just doesn't line up.
I know everybody else is fine here, but this one doesn't work for me. So
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about Tom Brady, this was funny. This I think falls into probably the headline that shouldn't have been a headline.
Sure.
This week, after their game on Sunday night, Chase Young, while he's running off the field, is caught on microphone saying, "I'm coming for you, Tom Brady. I want Tom Brady." And everybody's made a big to-do out of that this year.
Yeah.
It's certainly understandable. He's calling him out by name and blah, blah, blah. And then there was a screenshot that somebody put around of Tom with just a smirk on his face. It was this was Tom's face when they told him about what Chase Young said. And it was him. It was just this like goofy smirk that Tom Brady had on his face, like, "Oh yeah, come get it, come get it."
Yeah.
But like, there's been questions that have gone back and forth about this. But Ren, I mean, I'll throw that out to you. One player calling, a rookie calling out the GOAT, saying, "I want you coming in for it."
Yeah, probably not a good idea. But I mean, like Chase Young, if you look for it, obviously didn't get as much spread as him calling him out. He's just like, he's like, yeah, he's like, I want to play against the best. He wasn't saying Tom Brady's washed or like I'm gonna kill Tom Brady or like next week, like it was totally overblown. But the reason it's overblown, it's because when you talk about this game and you're like well, all right, let's talk about how Washington win this game. You have one thing to talk about, and that's the defensive line.
Sure.
And their best player, most young player, number 1 player drafted this year. Well, number 2, I guess. Wait, yeah, 2, right? Yeah, Burrow went 1. Yeah. So anyway, that's the guy talking. So it's like, okay. So it's not shocking, but I think like the person said in chat, it's just blown way over proportion. I don't think anybody cares about it. Like it, but everyone's just
people keep like, because they asked about it in,
they don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah.
Because Washington poses no threat. They have nothing else to talk about.
Right.
They have nothing. You got nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, speaking of nothing, let's move on off of
Sure.
this nothing topic. Like I said, I feel like I should have like a graphic or something. It's the headline that's not really a headline. That's been our theme.
Ba, 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 ba.
There you go. There you go. Let's talk a little. Let's talk Mike Evans for a moment.
Sure.
Mike Evans, after ripping up his knee last week, he went and got himself some super glue and some staples and got it all back together. And he was seen out on the field this week, jogging and then walking and then practicing. And they say now he is questionable for the game, will be a game time decision, as will Carlton Davis. But, when we last spoke, Ren, it was right after the game, and it was, they don't think that it's as bad as it looked on the field.
Right.
They're going to get an MRI and they'll confirm things. Like, that's where we left things last time we spoke.
Yeah.
Good news is he didn't have any structural damage, they report. They also, the Times had a report saying it really didn't have anything to do with the turf, or at least it didn't have anything to do with the field crew. Like, they didn't do anything different than what's normal, and it shouldn't have been affected by the Outback Bowl from the game before. It wasn't loose turf. I think is really what it was. It wasn't loose turf. But
it was new turf.
A freaky. No, they said it hadn't been replaced in over 6 weeks.
Really?
They went and asked the field crew, and the field crew was like, nope, that's what had been there for a very long time. He said there was a couple of spots in the middle of the field where they had just resawed, but that particular sod had been there over 6 weeks.
I don't believe him.
Okay.
Well, how come I didn't see the emblems of the teams that just played in the Outback Bowl in the end zone, like I did at midfield?
It's a Rick Stroud report in the Tampa Bay Times. You can go read it for yourself. And then,
I'm not saying Rick's lying. I'm saying they're lying.
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying that you're not wrong. I'm just saying
it's just like the bait house controversy here in St. Pete.
The what controversy?
The historic bait house controversy. We have a trouble of brewing in city council and the mayor. Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Big stuff.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm on the councilman's side.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, damn it, I am too.
Yeah, well, it should be. He lied.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So anyway.
Story?
Do what? No, not really.
Okay.
But anyway, Mike Evans is going to be back out there, so yay for him. Do you think
is
there's
he?
any? Yeah.
What?
Well, I'm sorry. He is a game time decision.
Thank you.
But I am going to project.
Start calling you Jeff Ryan.
Yeah, I am going to project. There is no way Mike Evans is not playing in this game.
Okay.
Unless by no way I'll give the caveat, like, unless he is absolutely physically unable to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
if he
can tough it out. Like, if he can tough it out, because you know how I know you laugh at your ass, whatever. But sometimes they keep
Mike
people out.
Evans is playing unless he's injured. Thank you, Brent.
Right. Sometimes though they keep people out as a precaution. They're
Right.
not doing that with Mike.
Like, hey, Mike, like you can go, but we'd rather have you sit to be 100% next week.
Right. That's not happening. Mike is going to play. I am putting my money on Mike playing this week, which is pretty good because the injury he had last week looked pretty scary.
It was scary. Kudos to all the King's horses and all the King's men after the Humpty Dumpty disaster, going back to school, retraining, and getting in there with Mike and like you said, what would you say? Patch it all, crazy glue and paper mache, staples. Yeah. They stopped at Michael's and did a fix old Mike Evans' knee there. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think Mike will go. I'm not. I feel uncomfortable. I feel the same uncomfortable ability. I feel uncomfortable the same amount that I did going into the Atlanta game about Mike Evans getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think Mike Evans got hurt because everyone thought Mike Evans was going to get hurt? Like the power of thought, that type of deal. No, you don't think so?
No,
but you were thinking that, right? Like,
no.
When he got his 40 yards, you were like, okay, get him off because he's going to get hurt.
I will 100% admit, as soon as he got the 40 yards, I was like, man, wouldn't that be something if he came out and got injured like right after that? And then
yes,
sure enough, it happened.
And it happened. The power of thought. So I felt like I'm not saying you have
to. Man, I blame the uniform.
Sure. or the grass had been there apparently 6 weeks. It's so I feel the same way about this. I feel that Mike is going to go, but my same feeling of like, of dread of like Mike's going to get hurt in this Atlanta game. I know it. The same feeling of dread is Mike's going to go and Mike's going to get hurt. And like, I feel like he's going to re-injure it this Washington game. Mm-hmm. And you really, really need him. But it's going to take an adult in the room to tell Mike to shut up and sit down and go cheer his boys on, because this isn't decision for you. Like, we can win this game without you, and we're going to win this game without you. Like, you can dress him for emergencies, like Chris Godwin gets hurt
we saw the Falcons do that with Julio
for a couple of weeks. Right?
Yeah, like they dressed
like 5 plays a game.
Wasn't that our first game with them? Julio dressed, but they didn't play him. Like, it was in case of emergency break glass, but that was it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way I feel. But I haven't, I don't know.
I'm with you, and except for the one and done.
If Mike gets hurt in this game and the Bucs win by 12, and Mike can't play the rest of the playoffs,
that'll feel real crappy.
Would you have been like, I knew they should have sat him? Like, they should have sat him. Someone should have told Mike to shut his mouth.
No.
Quit being selfish and sit down.
No, here's the thing. Because when you're in the playoffs,
mm-hmm.
every year we see upsets in the playoffs.
Not like this.
Okay, fine. But we still every week.
But you see upset in the playoffs to teams that have won double digit.
No, but here's the other side. If you got to the other side and you sat Mike Evans and the Buccaneers lost and Mike Evans could have helped you and he could have played. You know what I mean? I know if somebody's going to get sat because they got hurt playing in a game unnecessarily, I would much rather have that than get eliminated from the playoffs because somebody who could have played didn't. If it's between those two choices.
It's not, though. That's the thing. It's not. It's not between those two choices. You can sit Mike Evans and still win. And that's more likely than sitting Mike Evans and losing.
Evans and he still not get hurt.
If you sit Mike Evans, he's not going to get hurt.
Right. And you can but flip that to your logic. You can sit Mike Evans and still win.
Mm-hmm.
You also can play Mike Evans and have him not get hurt.
It's true.
So,
but I think it's a greater risk. I think it's a greater risk of Mike Evans. I don't want to say re-injuring, but irritating the knee instead of giving another week. I think that's more likely than losing to the football team without Mike Evans.
Yeah. Here you asked my response, and this would be my response.
Sure.
My response would be, man, that sucks. Man, we probably should have sat him. But I think that's only
Bruce
a
Arians
response
should be
you have in
fired.
2020. No. I think that's a response you can only have with 2020 hindsight.
Yeah. That's why you got to make this.
I still think they made the right decision to play him. They made the right decision.
Why?
I hate the outcome.
Why?
Because they couldn't.
But in my mind, the only reason you're playing is because Mike hasn't been in the playoffs yet, and he deserves to get to play. That's your reasoning.
No,
like the smart move is to sit Mike Evans.
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. It's one and done, Ren. Like I get
it. Win.
It's a horrible football team. I get it. They got in because of a technicality of the way that the playoff system works, that somebody from each division has to go. And the New York, the NFC East,
they just lost to the Panthers.
Sucks.
They lost to the Panthers. Okay, the past 2 weeks, they need to win to get in. They lose the Panthers, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles by 1 score, and the Philadelphia Eagles were actively tanking the whole second half.
They were.
So they they didn't extend the lead on a team who was trying not to score. And then they lost to the Panthers. And they needed to win both those games to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I get it. I know. I hear you. And in a playoff situation, you do everything you can, and that includes. I know. He's a Saints fan anyway. Gosh.
Sure.
But you're right. If Mike Evans goes out and gets hurt, and the Buccaneers wins the way that we all are pretty damn sure he's going to win, that's going to feel really shitty. I'm with you 100%.
You know why? Because you didn't need him.
I still think the wrong call would be to sit him. I do.
What about the? Would you be with the emergency? You like the emergency break glass?
Yes, I like the idea of dress him. If you absolutely have to have him, then you play him. But otherwise, you roll. Because here's the thing, as they've said in the chat room over here, Mike Flowers says, honestly, we have enough weapons.
Yeah.
And you're right. This is why Antonio Brown was brought to the Buccaneers mid-season. Partly because Tom Brady has some sort of fascination with Antonio Brown and wants to help revive his career.
TB12.
You have a TB12.
The future TB12 spokesman.
Right. But we've got Carlton. We've got Chris Godwin. We've got Antonio Brown, who has been coming on. We've got Gronk. Listen, Brate's still there. I don't know why we keep bringing him up, because Brate almost still doesn't do
Scotty Miller.
But we still have him there. We've still got Scotty Miller. Tyler Johnson's made a couple of plays here and there. He's right. We still have Rojo. Somebody asked earlier if we think Rojo's going to get 100 yards this game. Frankly, I don't care at this point. He might. I think he should. This is why. This is why
he looked the best he ever did against Atlanta.
He absolutely did.
God,
and here's the thing: the offensive identity of this team, the way this team wins, is you give Rojo the ball 20 times a game. And frankly, if this team is running up the score the way that we all think that they will, they're going to go to a run game late in the game anyway, and Rojo will get his yards that way.
Yeah,
unless they just give it all to Fournette, which is possible.
Throw to Mike Evans.
That's
what you do.
Put him out there. Yeah.
Put in Keyshawn Vaughn. Time to see the future.
Right. So Mike Evans out there. I say they should play him. I don't think there's any way that he doesn't play unless he's physically unable to go.
I think you're right, but I would rather go with emergency break glass. But the only problem I have with that is, okay, when break glass comes, maybe it's because we're losing. Now, remember in the Chicago game where James hadn't played all year and he was supposed to come back for the Chicago game? They're like, no, we're going to play Fitzpatrick one more game.
Right.
Or until he loses, basically. And then it was 35-0 at halftime, and Dirk Cutter goes, "Go get him, Jameis."
Right. Threw him in there.
I don't want that to happen to Mike. We're down 10,
Mhm.
like the start of the fourth quarter, and here comes one-legged Mike Evans hobbling on the field, and and what if you lose?
Yeah.
Then Mike Evans will feel like
If
the
you would have
reason
played
we
me
lost was
earlier,
because of me.
yeah.
Because I didn't make enough plays in that quarter. The whole team was looking at me and I didn't do
Yeah.
it. That's the one thing that that gives me the hesitancy of the emergency break glass. But honestly, I'd rather have the emergency break glass than not be down by 10 at the early fourth quarter and look over and Mike Evans is in street clothes and go, damn it.
Yeah. You know what I could see him doing is playing Mike, letting him get out there and do his, but they don't send him any targets. He's just out there as a presence. He's out there as a decoy.
Chicago game.
Yeah, because I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen this happen a few times this year.
Yeah,
Where
early.
they just put him out there, but they don't actually, stress
run
that.
9 routes and out routes. He never got he never got like 3 yards from the sidelines all game.
Right. So anyway, so we'll see what happens with Mike as we move forward. Two more notes on the headlines, Ren, and we'll move over to injury report as we look at this Washington game.
Sure.
This is more of a futures Buccaneers thing. This has to do with coaches. 2 Tampa Bay Buccaneer coaches are supposedly being tapped for head coaching positions. Earlier this week, it was confirmed Todd Bowles is going to be interviewing for the Falcons job. So while Bowles was never a Tampa Bay head coach, Chuck went up to another former Tampa Bay coach going over to Atlanta. We don't know if he's going to be hired or not.
I wouldn't take that job.
You wouldn't take it?
Mm-mm.
You mean you wouldn't take it if
I was Todd Bowles? If I was in Todd Bowles' situation, I wouldn't take the Atlanta job.
Why?
Their salary cap is just going to be as bad as the Saints. And plus they're on the back end of Matt Ryan, and they might have to just get rid of him because of his contract. And then they're gonna be the Jets. They're gonna be the Washington football team.
Right.
They're gonna be like.
And aren't you the one who always says there's only 32 of these jobs in the entire world?
Yeah.
And when one comes along, it doesn't matter who it is, you got to take it.
No, never said that. No, I said I would never take the job at San Diego because of the Spanos family.
That's fair. You have said that.
Yeah. So, and it's just it's the reason why Bill Parcells left us at the altar the first time. Is he, he's like, okay, yeah, and then someone's like, oh, by the way, we have no salary cap room, and Brooks and Sapp and Lynch and they all got to go because we can't pay them. And he went, oh, okay, yeah, I don't, but it's, I don't say, I'm not mad at him for it. I wish he would have done his research beforehand, not get everyone excited, but yeah, I mean, not coming as advertised. So, I mean, don't look now, but in 2021, like the Panthers are the second best team in the division.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. With that, along with Todd Bowles, Marshall University is said to be targeting Byron Leftwich for their head coaching position.
What a Marshall? Oh yeah, Thundering Herd.
Yeah, and I believe that's where Leftwich went to school. I think that's who he played.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah. So they are apparently targeting Leftwich. Now we have talked all year long about, people talk about potential head coaching candidates and they always bring up Bowles and Leftwich all year long. They've both been brought up. And we've always gone, yeah, we understand Bowles, but not Leftwich. Leftwich is not in the head coaching conversation. Well, I don't know that anybody ever necessarily considered college.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for Leftwich, I mean, but I don't know. I don't follow college football enough. I certainly don't follow Marshall enough when I do follow college football. But it's an interesting prospect that the Buccaneers could be without both coordinators going into next season. I mean,
yes,
coordinators to fill their spots, but
they'll both be here if those are their two only options. One, and also with the Byron Leftwich, I wouldn't leave. Like, you can't leave right now. You got Tom Brady. You got a great roster. You're at the top of your game. You're at the tier 1 of your profession. Right. And you're with a tier 1 team. Like, if the goal is to win the Super Bowl, like, you got a real short window here.
Yeah.
And to go play in the MAC, be the head coach of a MAC team, even though that's where you went. Okay.
Right.
Like, can you give me like I'll call you back in 2 years, or you
You
know,
guys
it's like,
hang out for a couple of years while I clear
yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and with Todd Bowles, like it's not a good situation in Atlanta. I don't even think like Todd Bowles might be the type of person, and this is pure speculation, where he wouldn't even entertain the idea of going to a division rival with BA as the head coach. He's like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And plus he already had his try at turning around a broken organization,
And the Jets. Yeah, when he was with the Jets.
and the Jets, and it didn't go well, and apparently there's a lot of other kind of like behind the scenes things, like with the GM wouldn't draft the guys that he wanted, or he didn't have enough input, and then it was like it was a three-headed monster that nobody agreed upon. It was like paper, rock, scissors over there, and he just had that. So why not stay with your friends?
You're doing
hang out,
well.
win a couple Super Bowls. Weather's nice, tax free.
From everyone says you are the heir apparent down here.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
I don't know. It depends on how it all ends, but that's the rumor, I believe, is that Bowles is the heir apparent. So yeah, it could be interesting, but that's certainly something to keep tabs on as we move forward. If you had to pick, if one of them had to go, not who, well, let me ask you, I'll ask you both ways. Who would you prefer to go? And who would you prefer to stay? And who do you think will go? Like, if one of them's going to go, who's the most likely to leave, but who would you rather have be the one to leave? Especially if it's not the same person.
Okay, but basically what you're asking me is I get to pick which one's got to go, and I get to pick which one.
Yeah. And it's which one do you think, like, in reality will go? And what
in reality, I don't think either of them will go.
Okay.
This year.
Okay.
For if like you're making me pick one, as in like, hey, you can only keep one. Which one is it? I keep Leftwich because what he's built with Brady. Like, we watched this team. It's still kind of funny. They scored the most points ever in team history, and we're like, we've watched this team struggle score points, but we've watched this team, sort of. In the first half of the season, it was feast or famine. It was like 3 and out or touchdown. There was no sort of like in between with these guys, and it was frustrating to watch. But would you say that the chemistry, or I guess with BA, Byron Leftwich, and Tom Brady, do you think they're more on the same page now than they were like in week 4 or 5?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I think like,
and
this is all pure speculation, right?
Yeah. That's how you feel. What you see?
There was a very well documented moment during the Atlanta game when they missed. I think it was
which one?
I think it was a touchdown pass to Gronk or somebody.
Which Atlanta game?
This past week, and the camera caught Brady, who turned around and very clearly you could read his lips, where he said, "Fuck that stupid fucking play."
Right.
Like, and he was pissed. And then the next shot you see is him on the sideline, and Byron's over there like, no idea what he was saying to him, but it was like he was trying to calm him down and like, okay, we'll take that out of the playbook, or listen, this is like all of that. You say, to go back to your question of, are BA and Leftwich and Brady more on the same page now than they were back in the middle of the season? Yeah, I do, because I think they can have those frank conversations.
Okay. And how long did it take them to get there?
It feels like, I don't know. It feels like they took most of the
took them to the second half of the first Falcons game.
Yeah, this super chat just came in.
I saw that.
He goes, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Zach. He says, "I'm drunk. Go Bucs." Laugh out loud. So
right.
thanks, Zach. Appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate it. I really do. And knock one back for me, because I'm not.
So yeah. So with the struggles that we've seen Tom Brady getting on the same page with a play caller. Would you rather watch that happen again next year?
Right.
Or would you rather just have like Foot slide into Todd Bowles' spot?
Well, I don't know that it's as simple as Foot sliding into Todd Bowles'
That's what
spot.
BA said.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then sure, maybe. But Foot's not going to be Todd Bowles, though.
But again, okay, look at of course Foot's not going to be Todd Bowles. He's not going to play soft sound. But
and Todd Bowles has.
But then I guess the person who slides into Leftwich's spot would be Clyde Christensen, who's
in that case, does BA take back over play calling?
I don't think it's
adamant about not doing it.
Yeah,
but if
his wife's not going to let him. His wife's not going to let him.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. BA did say, like, if something happened, I don't know how the question came up, but he said he's the next play caller in line. Like, I don't know, like Byron comes down with food poisoning. I don't know. He said, and then it'd be Clyde.
Wait, who's the next play caller? Is he? He
is. Like, if
Byron got COVID and he couldn't go.
Yes, I think, that was there you go. Yeah. Can't believe I couldn't think of that. What would make Byron Leftwich not be able to be there?
What would keep a coach out for a game this particular year?
Okay, so if he's on a submarine and it refuses to surface,
and he can't get an helicopter.
Yeah, he can't get a helicopter because he can't no periscope. They can't shoot him out the torpedo tubes because they can't. The hatches won't open. The collar doesn't match up for an emergency rescue, so someone else has to call the plays.
The cell phone's down, so he can't phone it in. Right.
Satellite phone's down.
Right.
Yeah.
He left his playbook at home. He can't call the plays.
I don't know if you know this, but the Wi-Fi in a tin can 200 feet underwater isn't that good. By the way.
So anyway,
that's what I would be. I want Leftwich to stay.
You want
because watching the pains of that relationship grow and where they are now.
Yeah,
that's where it would be. Like, again, I don't want either of them to go, and I don't think either of them will because they're in too good of a situation. Like,
right.
You've got your spot. Like, this is your shot. This is it, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have the best of the best at a lot of positions.
It's a good team, and I'll be real interested to watch over the course of this offseason who comes back and who doesn't, because from last year to this year,
I'm gonna have so much fun this offseason.
The only real change that happened was Tom Brady at quarterback. Like, we got an upgrade at the right tackle, we got an upgrade back in the safety position, but that's the only real change. The only super.
And if Howard wouldn't have got hurt, like, Gronk wouldn't be as big of a factor.
Exactly.
And Brait would, I don't know, be in the food line.
I think Brait would be Brait, honestly. Yeah.
Brait would have been inactive a couple of games.
Maybe. Oh,
they would.
Hearing that.
They would. They'd take Eau Claire for his blocking.
Yeah. Well, they're going to Luke Stalker him, right?
Send him to Atlanta?
No, just but he'll become Luke Stalker on the team.
Who? Brait?
Yeah.
No, he can't block. But you mean gets six targets a year?
Yeah.
Luke Stalker. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And barely plays. And oh my God, didn't that suck to see Luke Stalker flying out there? Anyway, moving on. All right, let's talk about the injury report as we look and turn specifically towards this Washington football team game this weekend. Playoff game number 1, Saturday night. Ooh, that's going to be a late podcast. Late Pewtercast live.
Yeah, it is. That'll be Sunday.
Football team.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that this is breaking news because this news is about an hour and a half old as we record this podcast, right?
Okay.
Ian Rappaport reports the Washington football team will have more answers in the morning, but there is a real chance that quarterback Taylor Heineke ends up starting against the Bucs. Alex Smith's calf is still sore and hasn't loosened up. Heineke took the majority of snaps in practice and is ready if needed. Greg Allman, in responding to that, said if it is Heineke for Washington, here's the tale of the tape. Brady has 79,204 passing yards. Taylor Heineke has 467.
Nice.
Also, Brady has more career touchdown passes in 581 than Heineke has yards. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So sit Mike Evans is what you're saying.
Worry about the defensive line, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Sit Tom Brady. Don't want to get him hurt.
Right.
Gabbert versus Heineke. My Heineke's clean.
Oh,
Charmin commercial. That's a
yeah,
gross commercial.
it is. It is.
It is.
As far as other players that are out, they have Thomas Davis Sr., who is out with a knee injury. I don't know the Washington football team at all. I don't. He could be a great player. He could be a horrible player. I don't know these guys at all. And that's really it as far as the Washington football team goes. I don't care to talk about them too much. As you said, they're not that big of a threat outside of that that defense that they have, the defensive line. Let's talk about our guys. Jeremiah Ledbetter is out.
Boo.
Post releasing of the final injury report of the week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have downgraded LaShawn McCoy from questionable to out
With illness. Yeah.
So McCoy will be out. Jeremiah Ledbetter will be out. Davis and Evans, we already talked about earlier, are both questionable, which actually means likely to play. And they are both game time decisions, according to BA from his press conference. Outside of that, everybody else is full go. So pretty healthy roster. Rojo's back, no problems with that. We saw him play last year or last game. And away we go. It's a pretty healthy Tampa Bay Buccaneers team marching into the Redskins.
A 4-game win streak.
On a 4-game win streak.
A 5th seed.
But it's just going to be cold.
Just going to be cold.
Yeah, but I mean,
against
didn't the Tampa Bay Buccaneers more than double the amount of wins in the regular season the Washington Redskins had, or the football team had all year?
No.
They
only had 7.
I thought they only won 5. Okay, they won 7.
No. God, a 5-win. A 5-win.
How bad the NFC East was.
Yeah, no, a 5-win division leader, and you were arguing me about not sitting Mike Evans. Wow. Okay. But no, they won 7. They won 7 and 9. So yeah.
All right. But even still.
Yes, exactly. Even still.
Yeah.
So why? Like, well, their defensive line and like their defensive line wasn't good enough to like. They've lost 9 games. Like, okay, like
but they're not that far. I mean, Red. Now listen, you and I have both covered 5 and 11 teams.
Yeah,
that were not that far away. We covered a 9 and 7 team that was a quarterback away. That was a few interceptions away.
Sure,
it's a good team.
Yeah.
And you and I would have gladly played former Tampa Bay, the 2019 team with the 2019 quarterback in a playoff game and still probably bet on them.
No.
I would.
I wouldn't. But that's because the roster is really like our roster is good. Theirs isn't.
Yeah.
And plus, like, even though they have 7 wins, they got 6 of them were against the NFC East. Like, they got to play the NFC East and only won 7 games. I mean, they're not
was it
good.
Did they sweep everybody? Did they get a conference record on everybody? Or
I don't know. Who cares? They're not good. They're not good.
That's where 6 of their wins came from, was their own conference.
Probably.
One non-conference game.
I bet 5 of them did. I know they lost to the Cowboys at one point, so they probably beat them.
Yeah.
Maybe they beat the Eagles twice. I don't know if they did the Giants. Like, they're not good.
Yeah, I get it. All right, Ren. So we've come to that part of the show where I will ask you, what are you watching for in this game? What are you looking forward to seeing in this game?
A massacre. It's gonna be a bloodbath. No.
You're not allowed to say that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry. What I'm looking for, like, the only here's what I think's going on. I think that Ron Rivera is trying to bait the Bucs to be over aggressive early, and then put in some playoff packages, some offensive packages that work well against that, as in like a like rolling one way and then dragging a tight end the other way. Flea flicker maybe, wide receiver pass, like misdirection, counters, stuff that gets the defense going one way and then going back the other way where they can't recover. Because he keeps talking about it, like, oh my God, so much pressure. These guys bring so much pressure, so aggressive. Oh my God, like I can't even. Before this report of Alex Smith came out, but it was like we're playing Heineke because I don't know if Alex Smith is going to survive. Like we don't even like we're practicing Heineke all week because Jesus, Alex Smith, he's such a statue. He'll never. And so I think it was this mind, and he was trying to trick them to being super aggressive, get them all hyped up, and then run these counters against them and then try to get some quick scores and then have the defense hang on. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No. I think they're going to still try it. I think there's going to be some yardage gained on some of those plays, and we're going to freak out as Bucs fans. Like, way more discipline. Oh, my God. Like, all you got to do is play your position. They don't have enough guys to – but you get hyped up. It's the playoffs. Like, you're out there. You're trying to knock someone's block off. So I get it. But then after that, they're going to try to muck up the game. They're going to try to hold the ball as much as humanly possible. Like that's the best way to stop Tom Brady. Don't give him the ball. So I think there's going to be lots of 3 and outs. I think the Bucs need to stay patient. I don't think they're going to score 40 points, but I wouldn't put them past to score 30. I think the offense is still going to, keep clicking away. And I think that whoever's back there is kind of be running for their life when Bowles decides to start bringing it. And they're going to run for their life all game long because one side of offensive line of the football team is pretty good. The other one is not. And I can't really remember which is which. It's the left side or right side. I really can't remember. But I just think Washington's not going to be, unless they get like a punt return or kind of like with the Chargers. Like the Chargers couldn't move the ball against us, but then every time they threw it deep, they scored. It was just like, and they were perfect passes. So if 2 of those 3 passes aren't perfect passes, like the game would have been a laugher from the beginning. So, if they don't hit a couple of those and kind of keep themselves in the game, like Atlanta was last week. Like Atlanta was in the game, but they were hanging on by their fingernails, Like as soon as you knew next time Atlanta punted the ball, it was over. Like you need to score every single time you have the ball. And they didn't really do anything great. They came out at halftime, scored a touchdown. We scored. They came back down, or we didn't score. They came out, kicked a field goal, and I got them within 3. Okay. So they scored 10 points in their first 2 possessions in the second half, and that was it. And it was over. So it's going to be ugly at times. It might look a little like, 2 pigs wrestling in the mud for a while there. But at the end of the day, I think, just putting pressure on the pipe, man. And eventually, again, like I said, it's going to burst. And I think the Bucs are going to win somewhere like, I'm not going to really give a score prediction. I think the Bucs win by 12 to 15.
They win by 12 to 15.
Yeah. Either that's like 12 to 24 or 14, 25.
Do you think it'll wind up maybe even a little bit like against Atlanta, like where the game actually kind of maybe a little bit more close until like the end where they just run away with it?
Which game?
The second Atlanta game.
The second Atlanta game wasn't close. We were up 23-10 at half, or 23-10 at half.
Right, and then they brought it back to within 3 points.
Because we only had the ball one time. Like they scored a touchdown, got a field goal. We had the ball one time. They got it within 3, and then it was over. Like it wasn't a close game. They got it 10 points. They gave up 10.
Yeah,
they gave up 10. Like they only gave up 20 points all game. 10 of them happened to come right at actually no. 17 of them came in 3 possessions in a row because they scored. We kicked a field goal halftime, and then So I mean, the game was not close. At one point, it was within 3, but the game was never close. Yeah. So I can see. I give the Washington football team a better chance at keeping it within that 1 score realm longer than Atlanta did.
Okay.
But at the end, no matter what the score is, I think you're going to walk away going, the Bucs they're just better. They're just way better.
All right. Well, all the experts would seem to agree with you. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to watching Levante David in this game, specifically him, Lavonte David, 9th year in the league. This is his very first playoff game of his entire career. He's played it all here in Tampa, and he's been on some very, very poor teams. And I'm super excited. I know this is also Mike Evans' first year in the playoffs, and he's at 7 years in the league. I didn't realize that Lavonte was in his 3rd year when Mike Evans came on. Like, that's how young Lavonte David was.
Right.
Mike Evans was a rookie. But anyway,
I like the Washington football team. He's all we had to talk about.
right. But listen, Mike's going to do what Mike's going to do, and honestly, Mike's going to be limited by what Brady does, if Brady throws to him or not, because otherwise you're not even really going to notice too much of Mike.
There you go.
At all. And that's if he plays. Lavonte, though, is going to be on every play. On every defensive snap, Lavonte is going to be out there. He's going to be flying around. Devon White's not going to be there. We're going to have it'll be Mentor or Buchanan or somebody else kind of filling in that slot. So I think Lavonte has the hype of this moment is going to be huge for him. And I think Lavonte is going to go and ball out. And I'm excited to see what Lavonte David does. Plus, the fact he just got snubbed for that AP thing. He got snubbed for the Pro Bowl this year. I think Lavonte's got a chip on his shoulder like nobody else. And
besides Tom Brady, and they're both on our team.
It's true. It's true. And Tom Brady, this is that, people talk about like this is Tom Brady's season now. And this is where he does super well. And I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what Tom Brady looks like when I'm actually rooting for him in the playoffs.
Right.
Like when everything he does, I'm not trying to disparage.
Right. I was never anti-Tom. I was anti-Patriots. Well, some years I was anti-Tom.
Yeah, no, I did not like Tom.
But it wasn't because of him. It was because of the people that talked about him, and made me not like I didn't like them because they wouldn't shut up about the Patriots. Like they were part owners, or they, were the trainers, or they played left guard. And then so that made me not like the Patriots and not like Tom, because I just need these people to shut their mouth.
Sure. If I'm being honest,
Sure.
I didn't like Tom just because he won. Like Tom could have been the nicest person in the world, and I probably still wouldn't have liked him. Like
It's just like my Drew Brees thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Drew Brees. Why? Because he's a saint and he's won a lot. I mean, like we should all strive to be as good a person as Drew Brees. Screw that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know that's not like. You know what that's not like for me is Cam Jordan, because Cam Jordan's fucking ass, and I hate that guy with a passion. Like it's a good thing Jesus loves him, because I don't, and I'm pretty sure nobody else does either.
Would you poop on Cam Jordan?
I would. Bare butt and all. Like I would just. Yes, I would.
Wow, no delay.
No, absolutely. And then I would. Never mind. Okay, I'm not gonna go there because that's just gross. All right. Anyway, all right. Predictive MVPs. Time to close out the show. Predictive MVP for this game. This is our shout out, our homage to What the Buck for this. Predictive MVPs. Who do you got coming out of this game? Washington versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm gonna give it to Mike Evans. No. I'm giving it to Antonio Brown, man.
Okay. All right.
I think that wide receiver game that I talked about when they got him,
right?
And then like it happened, people are like, Antonio Brown's terrible. I'm like, well, they're not throwing him the ball deep, but you see when these wide receiver screens, like he's making the first guy miss. Like and then these past couple of weeks, especially this last game, man, it was like he was phasing, like he would jump from spot to spot, and just guys are missing him. So I think they're going to rely heavily on that. I think Antonio Brown gets double-digit catches, easily gets in the 100 yards, maybe pushing 150. I'm not really sure about touchdowns or not, but yeah, I think Antonio Brown has his best game as a Buck, and everybody else in the NFL watching that game goes, oh yeah. Because they didn't watch the Atlanta game.
Right.
They didn't watch the Detroit game. They saw the stats and maybe saw one or two of the highlights, but they're going to watch this game and go, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was good.
He's really good. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. Right. I'm going to give my predictive MVP to JPP.
All right.
I think JPP has been balling out all year long. This is the kind of stuff that JPP lives for. He's been there before. He's a Super Bowl champion formerly himself. And if anybody, this is why JPP gets brought into this team. He's here. I'm super excited for Levante. Don't get me wrong. I'm super, super excited. But JPP has got something special going on with him as well. And you went with offense, so I'm just going to go with defense. So he's my guy that I'm picking is JPP. A couple people in the chat room, though. Maysman says Gronk's going to be MVP of the game. 2 touchdowns, close to 100 yards. England Paris says the MVP is going to be whoever succeeds in blocking Chase Young. So
yeah, I think Tom Brady's gonna the Bucs will be up. Like, here's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be late in the fourth, and the Bucs are down like on the 2-yard line, and they're gonna do a read option with Tom Brady, and he's gonna fake. He's gonna pull the ball from the running back, and then run over Chase Young to fall into the end zone for the Bucs to go up by 50. It's at 60-10.
Yeah.
Or 65-50, whatever it is. But that's just going to happen, yeah.
Right. Can you imagine if the Buccaneers were actually up that much?
Yeah.
And them still playing Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Like,
and Mike Evans.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You got Mike Evans. We're going to play him at running back. Yeah, that knee holds up on. We got to know. We got to find out if that knee can hold up.
Let's put him in his kick returner right there, too. Let's see here. Christopher agrees with you, Ren, says AB is going to have a big game for his MVP. He would say Rojo, but he doesn't think Byron's going to run him a lot.
Yeah. I almost said Rojo, but I think and this is something I will give credit to. Like, Washington can stop the run. They can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think, Rojo, I'm not going to say Rojo can't find a lot of room because this offensive line really surprised me. The second half of the season about, the holes they were making. Fournette just wasn't running through them. And then Rojo seems to be doing better and better each week at finding him. God, I can't play that Atlanta game. Reese Jones, man.
But will they play Rojo? Or is it going to be Fournette bouncing out there?
They're going to play Rojo. Just stop. They'll play Rojo. Fournette will get some touches, but Rojo's the guy who's going to get the meat of the touches. Yeah.
I hope so. All right. Well, Ren let's hear. Franks also says AB, and I got a good JPP is a good choice, and the offensive WTF is not good at all. All right, Ren. Well, that is going to wrap us up here for this show for Buc'In News. Nothing left to do it but to play the game tomorrow night. 8:15 is kickoff. I think it is, Ren. Yeah, I think it's 8:15. It's pretty late game. Tomorrow. We'll be with you guys immediately following the game. Clock's at 000. You guys make sure you join us right back here at YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, pewtercast.live, or anywhere you guys catch your podcast. And we'll be taking your phone calls. We'll be taking your video chats as we talk about the Buccaneers' very first playoff game in over 13 years. Ren, you got some news for this weekend. People can join you.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out with you during the game. Talk to people about that real quick and then tell them where they can get in touch with you this week.
The people at Collide contacted me again and asked me to host a live chat party. Collide is a app on your smartphone, and basically you download it, of course, and then you'll see these different rooms, and they'll be labeled like Titans game, or it'll be like Bucs Washington game, Bucs fans here. This one is going to be it's tailgate with the Pewtercast Buccaneers game. They actually put up a little montage video this time, Brent, and it ends with our logo. So you see like Levante David and Brady and Gronk, and it ends with our logo. The room's open now. The best way to find it, or it's on Apple, of course, and it's on Android. But you can just type in Get Collide app, COLLYDE, COLLYDE, Collide. That's how they spell it. And that will put you to a page where it has links to either, the Apple Store or the Google Play Store or Android Store, however you want to look at it. But anyway, you go in there, click in there, and it'll be me and my closest 100 friends. We'll be live chatting the Buccaneers game, talking about what's going on. But if you didn't understand any of that or want to secretly say that Brent doesn't know what he's talking about playing Mike Evans, best place to find me on Twitter is at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. But if you think your take is too hot and don't want to put it out there in the Twitter sphere, feel free to slide in my DMs and we'll talk Buccaneers football I will talk Buccaneers football with you there as well, too.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias, and the show is at the Pewtercast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Once again, please go over to YouTube, subscribe, like the channel, click that bell icon, be notified as soon as we go live, because we go live a lot. And sometimes you don't even know when we're going to be going live. We'll see you guys tomorrow night after the game, or as you guys are listening to this tonight after the game. Make sure you join us. And until then, folks, go Bucs.